Hey guys, as most of you know, I will be on vacation next week, so I just wanted to give you a video watch list of some potential plays that you might be able to make some money off of while I'm gone. Here we go. So first off, I'm looking at SWC. Drew this resistance line here about 860 from the last peaks here in April. This double top, then it fell off. Good earnings report announced last night, so it gapped up today. Closed up about 8:30. Would not be surprised at all to see this at least test that 860 mark next week, and if not, break out above that. If you look at the 1-year chart, basically this would be a 52-week high breakout, and there's definitely room to the upside, especially with the whole election thing coming up in November. It could be a pretty decent swing going into the next couple months. BZRT, one of the fun ones from today. We barely just missed this thing off dead bottom. We'll have to look at the 3-minute chart to get an idea. Let's see, today, one day. So opened up about 2.5, tanked to there, missed this, but look at all that volume. Plenty of volume, easy to get in and out, and ended up tripling basically. So the idea here now next week is watch this 4-5 area, and 5. I mean, it peaked. Today's high was 0.047, so that'll be your range break there on Monday if we can get over that point. It could even run to 6 or 7 cents, because if you look at, well, let's look at the 30-minute chart here. Because if you look at what it did yesterday, it basically went from 15 to 2. So this area, I mean, there's still room. Definitely, there's not a whole lot of space here at all. I mean, so if it gets through this area, there's still pretty good upside potential you can see from that chart. Keep this one on mind for next week. DMMI, sorry. This thing has just been slowly creeping up ever since that day in chat where we got huge volume surge and then it tanked. Huge volume. Hasn't had that nearly that volume ever since, but volume has been gradually increasing. As you can tell, it's been starting to pick up a little bit. Volume's coming back. So I would not be surprised at all to see the promoters behind this get this thing to take off a little bit more. Maybe you might get a down day, but I would not be surprised if this doesn't actually get a couple million share days and take off to $2 or $3. So keep DIMI on your watch list. NA and I, it never broke through that 20, but watch this 14 spot. There's definitely some support right here around this 14 area. If it can bounce off this, you might be able to get a quick play from 14 to 16 or even 18. It's got a pretty good range here actually between that 14 and 18 spot. TAHO, watch this 14 level here. There's definitely room to 16 if they can get through that. My lines aren't straight right now, but you get the point. If it can get through 14, there's only one big red day, and then so there's definitely room to 16 there for sure. AMPE closed above 5. Let's look at the 52-week deal. Room to the upside here as well. That 540 area is going to be pretty tough going all the way back. So if we can break through that 540, 550 area, I would not be surprised to see this thing hit 6 next week. DVR coming off bottom here. Watch that 3 level. There was much consolidation in May. It's bounced off of it in March. It broke out just above this level in January. So there's room to the upside here on DVR as well. Looking at cast here, this is one of those China unhalts, if you will, that just started trading again this week. We nailed this thing off the bottom on Monday, but it's trying to come back again. The volume has been relatively light, but I would not be surprised to see this thing test the 70, 80, and 88 spots next week. And then even that, after that, it could even see $1 plus. These things have just been getting hot, as you can look at. We can also look at ZSTN. This thing was one of those things that got halted for 6 weeks and then opened up much lower and then ran higher, and today it broke out again. Broke out above 3. If you look at the 1-year chart, it's almost at 52-week highs after being halted, which is quite funny in my opinion. So I would not be surprised to see ZSTN go higher as well. And then what's the other one? CPEN? Is that what it is? No. Hang on, I'll get it. CNEP, that's what it was. Okay, so this is one of those same kind of deals. It was unhalted, and I think they changed the ticker on this too, but these new Chinas or unhalts or new Chinas or whatever, they're getting some attention lately, so keep an eye on this. The volume hasn't quite hit 1 million shares yet, but 120, 125, sorry, 130 is about your resistance here on this thing now. Keep this one on watch. OVRL is working on filling this gap towards 2. As you can see, there was a ton of support there for a long time, and then it finally broke down, and when it did, it tanked. But now it's coming back, so I would not be surprised to see this test 2 next week. And if it breaks through that level, you'll probably start maybe form a bullish chart. FLWS, this is the only one I'm still swinging, and I plan on holding this for a while. I've moved my stop down to the 320 support area, just to give it some space, but I think this goes higher. 360 is probably your resistance line, and if you play this thing, I mean, it's lower volume, so you just have to give it some time, let it work out. As you can see, it has a fairly big range. It can, I mean, 360 back down to 330. So you just got to give it, let it work itself out. ALXA, bottom chart here. I like this 440 area. If you guys see this thing break 440 next week, it could easily pop to 485. 460 will present a little resistance too, but would not be surprised to see ALXA go higher if it can get through these levels. AMRS, kind of, I like this bottom chart. I've been mentioning this thing in chat for a long time now, and it broke that 440 area today. Would not be surprised to see this thing go up next week as well. HRG, watch the 8 level. Wouldn't be surprised to see that thing go higher. And if it does, it'll be 52-week highs, so it'll be hitting all kinds of scans left and right, and could even see 9 or 10 next week. KWK had a little consolidation day, which actually might be a good thing, but I would prefer that this would get a decent pullback. I mean, granted, if you look at the 30-minute chart here, technically it's still setting up. If it can break 560, it might even go higher next week. Watch this downtrend. I wouldn't be surprised. There was consolidation for a couple days here around 420. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing drop off at least to 460. But it could go either way still, so if it breaks higher, then play to the upside. If it breaks down, then play to the downside. MITK, $4 is the area of interest, and it made a higher low here on the 60-minute chart. So if it gets through 4, it could see a push. 460 is the high of recent. Wouldn't be surprised to see at least get 10% out of this thing if it goes. If you want a higher priced one, LinkedIn, LNKD, if it busts through this 108 level, you might get a quick pop to 112, 114 range. AVNR, good example of bottom consolidation breakout. I mean, this is why it was on one of my swing patterns. It's one of my favorites out of that because of this reason. You get this bottom, it finally found a bottom, and then buyers realize that and bam, buy it up. So watch this trend now on the daily chart. I think if it breaks to downwards, you could probably have a fairly decent short out of it. Otherwise, it may even still have room to the upside. 52-week high here is just a little over 4. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that test that if it can keep trending higher. Really just want to say as on video, but AZZ gapped up today, fell back to 58 and closed actually on highs. I was thinking about shorting it actually if it broke below 58 with this gap to fill towards 54. But now with that strong close, I think we may even see more upside next week. So watch that. Basically watch today's high as the breakout point, and if it gets through it, then you might even be worth the long in it. CJJD has been inching up again on us. Watch the 140 break. Definitely has room to the upside here. Last fall it went from 140 to 180, and even last August, I mean, it ran from $1 to 220, 240. So has room to run. Volume increase some today, good sign. Obviously volume started to increase here as it ran, but I like this chart for a potential run over 140. KBH broke this 9 spot today. Watch to the upside. It still might have room to the upside if it can break through today's high of about $10 or so, a little over $10. Resistance dates back all the way to last year. Your 52-week high is right on about 13. So if you can get back through 10, you might get a quick 8 to 10% out of this thing, and then if you're willing to hold on to it for a few weeks, it might even go higher. Everyone says homes are bottoming right now. Who knows if that's true or not, but the hype is definitely bringing in some buyers. The other home one here, Beazer Homes, BZH, if it can get through 330, might have some more upside to it. I like this consolidation pattern on tier. If it can break through these highs from early this month and in May, I think you could definitely see some upside out of this thing. 280 is about the support line, so if 280 breaks down, then it could go lower. So basically what you're looking for here is if it breaks to the upside, you're going to long it, and if it breaks to the downside, you're going to short it. Very similar chart on COCO, Corinthian Colleges. It's definitely trying to break out right now above that recent range of about 285, 287. Closed today at 289, just above that line. Would not be surprised to see this thing test 3, and if it goes, 320 is your next area of resistance there. And then 360, basically every 40 cents or so. And of course IDNGD. I told you guys to chat this thing was going to bounce eventually. Sure enough, it went from 10 to 16 while I was out at lunch, of course. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing test 20. A lot of, I mean, look at the volume. Look at the amount of buyers then compared to the volume recently. So a lot of people are in this thing for much higher, which means they're going to want to average down. So So just keep this thing in mind. It could definitely go higher next week. Another consolidation chart here on bottom, MDRX. I like the 11 spot. Obviously it's tried to breach that a couple times and had issues with it. So it could be just a quick day trade for a pop over 11 towards like 11.40, 11.30. Just take your 30-40 cents and run. And then if it can get through these other levels here, this high was 11.48. So I think there's still room to the upside. Obviously, big gap to fill. Not necessarily saying it's going to get filled, but definitely potential back there towards 16. URZ, another bottom consolidation chart here. Watch the 150 level. If that breaks, it could pick up some steam next week. I had BWS on watch pretty much all of May after these two updates that set this thing up to break out above 12, and it took forever, but finally today it broke out above 12. So watch this to go higher in the coming days. Definitely break a new 52-week high, so it'll be hitting everybody's scan this weekend, that's for sure. ES, bottom chart to watch, the 180 spot. That's the peak point of the day after it tanked. It tried to pop, but it got stuck at 180, so that'll be the resistance point this time around. Definitely if it breaks, there's room to the upside. As you can tell, I was trading at 360 earlier this month. OSUR, I like this chart. Pretty much an ascending triangle minus this outlier. I like it over 1150. Could easily see 1250. CALX, been trending higher since about April. If it breaks through 825, I would not be surprised to see this thing hit 859. Here's a fun one for you. Li and Fung, LFUGF. They actually own Black Cat Fireworks. Who knows? May even get a little pop through too next week. I doubt it. I mean, it's just a low volume stock, but hey, it could be fun to play with. It might even be cool to say you own part of the company that owns Black Cat Fireworks for a week. Nonetheless, there's your watch list. Plenty of stuff to look at as you go through next week. My email account will be open as I get them on my phone, but I will be slow responding to them, obviously, because I'm on vacation. I'm just going to be chilling for a while. So if I don't get back to you for a couple days, don't take it personal. But I will plan on getting back to everybody's emails by the end of next week. Also, a reminder, next week is the last week for the $40 a month rate to chat room and all the seminars and videos and educational articles. After that, the rates are going to go up. I'm not telling you what that price is, but you better get it by Sunday night at $40 a month. Otherwise, you'll be paying more. So there you have it, your list for the week of July 2nd through the 6th. Enjoy your 4th of July, guys. Remember, markets are closed on it's Tuesday half a day and closed all day Wednesday. I will talk to you guys next weekend.